righty. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Goodman. I'm a director in EUC, end user computing, and my job is to save y'all money. Let me tell you how we're going to do it today, but first let me introduce Andrew Kloman.
Hey everyone, Andrew Kloman. I've been at AWS for a little over 6 years now. I'm a partner SA, and I moved actually over to Kevin's team over this past year to work on this new project we got going on here.
Nice. Let's talk about it, Andrew. So VDI migration. We're going to go over a bunch of reasons why we think it's been difficult to migrate in the past, some of the common challenges, all the stuff that's been going on since 2020. And then we're going to talk a little bit about WorkSpaces Core. You saw our title. That was a long-winded way of saying you should really check out WorkSpaces Core. It's perfect for hybrid cloud, all right? And we're going to go into it a little deeper, tell you how to get started. And then we're going to give them a demonstration. Andrew, I'm not sure how we're going to demonstrate this because we're basically, I think, going to click on a Horizon 8 icon. It's going to be a desktop. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a short demo. Maybe you could go into behind the scenes of how you made it so easy.
Yeah.
Would that work too?
We can check that out.
Okay, how about that? That sound good? All right. Hey, you guys in the overflow room, that sound good? All right, thank you. Hey, so tell me, show of hands, how many of you manage desktop installations now? Is that something you're doing? Big show of hands here. Yeah. On-prem, some of you? In the cloud, both? Okay. Sounds good. Here's some of the challenges that we've seen. You need two sets of experts, right? One for on-prem and one for in the cloud. And I know y'all can do it, but you probably could do it a lot easier if you didn't have to be two people at once. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. All right. All that replacing and retraining and adding people, how many people in their company are planning on increasing staff to handle hybrid cloud VDI in the next 5 years? Very few hands up there. So let's do something about that. Let's make it easier, all right? Let's not make you think how many people am I going to have on staff, how many users am I going to have in the next 3 years. What we don't want you to have to do is over-provision, plan for the worst-case scenario. What we should do is handle that capacity management in such a way that you pay as you go. And once you're paid as you go, if you have to reduce some of that staff or some of those users for some reason, then you contract. Because I don't know what it's going to look like in 2026, and I'd hate to have to buy hardware to support it today if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about that last slide there was collapse of the IT support group, right? I mean, everyone in this very AWS way to say are unicorns in this space, right? The idea that the population of this group is getting smaller and smaller, and that there's a much bigger need for people in this room that are doing these activities is a huge piece to this. So yeah, it's a really important part to optimize how you're spending your time and doing these things. And the services that we're providing are helping you move up the stack and being able to do the smarter, cooler, bigger things. The undifferentiated heavy lifting is a very AWS thing to say, right? So it allows you to do those things and be those builders that we talk about here.
Yeah, so WorkSpaces Core is a set of APIs that when we say builders, we mean partners or customers who have the expertise who can provide WorkSpaces capabilities into their application. Anybody check out EUC Innovation Day? We had Sean Bass on stage, and we were showing Horizon 8. Andrew's demonstration is actually going to be Horizon 8. We actually have VMware people in here that we are working hand in hand with for your Horizon 8 is now. I heard a customer, I'm pointing to my friend Chris here, who's from VMware, heard a customer in an executive briefing yesterday say, tell me about managed Horizon. This thing sounds awesome. And then we're calling Horizon 8 on WorkSpaces. But this is something that you can build to VMware did it. You can build to our APIs and put WorkSpaces functionality into your application. Andrew, you want to take this next slide?
Well, I think the side on the left is probably your side. It might be a little bit before my time, maybe. I don't know. Where do we start from over there?
So what you're telling me is you weren't here in the working world before the turn of the century. Okay.
On-prem VDI is around when my career started.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So, yeah, I was there before the turn of the century. As a matter of fact, I shook Templeton's hand when he was on his way down from the company he worked for to join one of the first companies that did on-premises VDI at the time. We had Rusty, who would come kick me off my desk and insert like 10 diskettes to update Lotus Notes, and then I could get back in there. So the whole idea of getting out of individual workstation management was really exciting to me. All that work associated with it, I was bought in. But then we had on-premises VDI, and that's what some of you are doing today. It takes experts such as yourself to keep that up and running. And now, how many have implemented some type of work from home policy in their org? Yeah, every hand. How about you guys in the overflow? Yeah, exactly. Everyone has some type. What's the first thing that obsoletes your on-premises data center? Somebody living in California whose data center was in New York, because when you said you could work from anywhere, they took you literally. I'm based out of the Seattle Bellevue office. I now live in Florida because during 2020 and 21, my wife wanted to be closer to her father during that lockdown period. So what's the first thing that happened? Oh, the latency back to my desktop on the West Coast was awful. So I switched to a desktop on the East Coast. Ta-da, problem solved. Hard to do that on-premises VDI unless you're building another data center. So we introduced, I don't know, how long ago? You were here. WorkSpaces?
It was about, I guess, 12 years ago? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we've introduced WorkSpaces, and this is your fully managed, scale on demand, pay as you go, no upfront costs. Don't have to pay for dedicated instances. And as a matter of fact, we in the EUC team, we get a pretty good discount on those EC2 instances. We buy in bulk. So there's capacity management that you don't have to worry about planning for the peak load. Call us up, tell us, I just acquired a company. I got 500 new users. Let us know, we're going to take care of you. But everybody in do-it-yourself cloud VDI has been telling us for this entire time, I don't want to retrain my users, right? They don't.
My client is a big thing.
What about that PhD who had Outlook? Do you remember that one? Tell them the story about this. We have a company, we're not going to name the company, but it's all PhDs doing research. We're talking far right side of the bell curve as far as intelligence. Calls up support and says, Outlook is missing?
Yeah, like the icon just wasn't on the desktop. Maybe they clicked right and deleted it on accident or whatever the deal was, but completely throw their hands up in the air just because the icon's missing.
And they said something to the effect of, did you save a document to the desktop? Yeah. Okay, so Outlook's no longer on the first column on the bottom. It's now on the second column on the top. See it? Oh, yeah, there it is. Well, that CIO said to me, and you want me to change clients? Do you see what the disruption has? I want consistency for my users. I don't want to change clients. I've taught them they like the client that they have now. Why do I have to throw that away just to use WorkSpaces?
That training aspect is probably one of the larger parts of migrating any solution, right?
So that's why we came up with the idea of WorkSpaces Core. Remember I said, and when we start at the beginning, my job is to save you money. Well, this is one way we want to save you money is, one, let's not retrain those users. Two, let's not retrain those administrators if we don't have to. We have a lot of customers who are telling us, yeah, we're all in on the cloud, all in. We got a migration plan, and that migration is going to take 5 years, which means 20% over 5 years. That means you're going to be maintaining 2 systems. Wouldn't it be nice to have the same clients for all 5 years and then beyond? That is the idea behind WorkSpaces Core. It is just a set of APIs that builders can use to put Workspaces functionality in there. And we like to call it a big easy button. One, it's easy to onboard. Two, it's easy to understand because you're using your same control plane that you get. Three, it's easy to sleep at night because we have the Workspaces team making sure it's up and running for you. And you don't have to have Rusty sitting there and changing diskettes for you, okay?
Yeah, that undifferentiated heavy lifting, that's where we come into play, right? We want to make sure that you guys are doing the smart stuff and that we're taking care of those things that can be annoyances at times, right? The operational aspects of these solutions.
So yeah, let's talk more about that. There's some rapid deployment.
Yeah, rapid deployment, unified management, and optimized spending are like the three key pillars of this solution, right? Getting into rapid deployment, really, making this easy. People in this room, right, probably have a little bit of AWS experience, probably have a little bit of VDI experience. Again, that's the unicorn thing in the room, right? You guys are unique in that space. What we've found is that most engineers either have AWS experience or VDI experience, and mixing those two is pretty unique. So in this solution, we're trying to do is make this as simple as possible for everyone to be able to consume this super easy. I think there's something like 275, probably around that. We're always adding new instances, but there's a lot of EC2 instances out there, right? That can be really complicated for someone that's not used to AWS. So we've curated machine choices that are meant for desktop use cases. That's one of the pieces of how we make this a quicker solution.
Yeah, exactly. And then fixed rate, pay as you go, no upfront costs.
I mean, reserved instances. How many people are using reserved instances in your EC2 environments, right? Having to prepay for that, 3-year planning cycles, these kind of things. There's a significant cost that you can save with reserved instances. We build that into our costs. So we're figuring out all these cost model savings for the desktop use case and passing that on to our customers. We're making this as easy as possible, in even the spending aspect of this.
So we also built in some APIs to help you with billing, right?
Yeah, so we have Always On, which is a monthly construct. If your use case is somewhere around 60, 80 hours a month of usage for your customers, that's most likely the best model for your use case there. We also have the ability to have a manual running mode, which is new with Amazon WorkSpaces Core. It gives you, the builder, the capability to start and stop, hibernate, the instances as you see fit. So that really gives you that hourly pricing model.
Perfect. So yeah, leverage the power of AWS. This is our friends at the Hackett Group. And pay attention, there's 2 up arrows and 2 down arrows, and we're going to go over an anecdote about them. My father-in-law once said, you scratch your elbow, it reminds Kevin of a story. Yeah, you like stories, you're about to get one. All right, so we make administrators more productive. How do we do that with Core? You already know your your control plane in on-premises VDI. You already know those clients and how to update them. You're already familiar with that. You don't have to hire additional EC2 experts to keep this thing up and running. You have the full power of the Amazon EUC team. And unplanned downtime. We really pride ourselves on trying to eliminate, so much so that if a builder works with us and meets all the requirements, we'll have an SLA on this. So once you connect up to Workspaces, we have an SLA on that. You can read it on. It's in Workspaces today. We'll extend that for the builders. And the way we do that is we tie our support teams together, all right? There's also infrastructure cost savings. We'll go into that, right? It's cheaper than flat-out Workspaces instances. You don't have to pay for our protocol, right? And security instances, here's where that little story came in. CIO told me, Kevin, every time I walk into the meeting with the CEO, he complains about cost. Every single time, that's all I hear. You spend too much, you spend too much, you spend too much. But every single month he does it, okay? The month that I have users down that I didn't plan for, or they can't access something, or we have a security incident, that's the last month I worked there. So you know what I'd like? I'd like to get rid of those 2 down arrows, and if you can save me some money and some costs, awesome. But I like this whole solution for that reason. And managed makes a difference. So earlier when Andrew was telling you that I was here before the turn of the century, I also have my reading glasses on. Could you help me with this slide here?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot going on. But the idea here is really to show where our level of managed service is moving up the stack. So on-prem VDI, you have to manage all these things, right? None of those boxes are checked. Cloud VDI, you're starting to make use of AWS, so the general foundational things of AWS that really help you make your job easier. And moving into Core is kind of in between Amazon Workspaces as you may know it today, right? Where the only thing you really need to manage is that image and directory, and that's it. Amazon Workspaces is that very simple solution in that way. But as like what we've talked about before, of some of the benefits around maybe third-party protocols or that client or being hybrid or some of the key things there, we have Amazon Workspaces Core, where we move down the stack actually a little bit to make it a bigger market so that there's more opportunities or more use cases or personas that can actually make use of some of our features or management that Amazon Workspaces provides. So opening up where it says partner or customer in that little area there, there's actually like a huge talking point around this, right? That control plane that you may be already familiar with. In an ideal situation, that's completely managed by you in that one control plane. Being able to have the clients, like I said, the protocol, any of the security requirements you may have around that protocol, locking that down, whatever that may be, that whole part right there really opens up the whole story to partners and builders in this space. So still providing a lot of managed service here, opening it up a little bit to a broader use case. That's kind of the idea of what we have with WorkSpaces Core.
Yeah, sounds good. You already know that control plane. Now you can have it both for your on-prem and your cloud users. That sounds like a winner to me. And speaking of the cloud, what most people tell us is that they're running workloads in AWS, they want to run their desktop workloads in AWS, right? That proximity is important. And we like to call that data gravity. Your desktops just naturally want to gravitate towards your desktop. So there are going to be reasons that you want to have that desktop up in the cloud with Amazon and next to where all your data is. Make sense?
Yeah, that data gravity is a big thing for a lot of customers.
How do you like this slide, too, by the way? It's almost got like the smile in it. Oh, come on, give me some love. Huh?
Very
yeah?
Amazon smile.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we like that one. And let's look at, all right, I'm trying to save you money. That's my job. That's how I will get rated. Look at if you're doing a hardware refresh. And some of you, if you're coming up against a hardware refresh, we've done a study that says you can save up to 41%. 41%. Even if you're not doing a hardware refresh, it's 15%. And I think we did this study. Now, I know we did it on AppStream, which is in our Workspaces family. But did this study in which you knew ahead of time how many users you were going to have, right? So you could compare that and plan over 3 years. Anybody had a hardware refresh in recent or have one coming up soon? Knowing about them? Yeah, that's always fun. Users like them. They love it when you spend money like that. And over-provisioning is also awesome for the users, right? So they like that.
Unless you take their CD-ROM drive away. So they can't play CDs anymore. I remember that whole controversy.
You're not as young as I thought you were. Okay. All right. All right, well, let's talk about some of that, all right? Consistent user interface. We're all about choice, always been about choice. So this is flexibility, for whatever protocol that your vendor has, they can bring it to us and it'll work on top of Workspaces now. And again, it's so important, I'm going to talk about it again, coordinated technical support. What happens to the users? I brag on our support all the time. Our customers tell me how great our support is all the time, our premium support. But what happens if I'm a cloud VDI and I can't connect and I call AWS? What do you think happens?
Is the instance running? Good to go.
Hey, instance up. Hey, EBS is green. And listen, we hate to do this. We talk about this all the time. We hate to do this. We call it throwing a customer over the wall to their vendor. We don't want to do that. But then on the other hand, our privacy concerns don't allow us to dig into your instance.
Yeah, the shared responsibility model. If you're familiar with that, it's a big thing that we talk about at AWS, right? We're not going to go dive into your EC2 instance and know what you have in there. Like, we don't care, we don't want to know. So for any of that software that you're running, that's between you and the whatever vendor that you've installed on there, right? That's a big thing for security and a big reason why people like AWS too, right?
Absolutely. Then, now let's compare that onto Core. Because you're using Core APIs, our support team knows automatically that you're a Core customer. They know who the vendor is based on those Core APIs. And when you call them up, wow, we are halfway through the solution right here. We're hoping to get mean time to resolution down and cut it in half compared to what it is on EC2 when you use your own vendor on EC2. And what's going to happen is right now we're still going to open 2 support tickets. We're hoping to get to a 1 support ticket model. The idea is if you're talking to our support and you say, hey, can't connect, I say, oh, you're a Horizon 8. Good choice. Let's get Horizon team on the phone and let's see what we can do together. Right? With your permission, we've got a bat phone to the Horizon. For those of you who didn't watch Batman, that means we got a direct line. Sorry about that. Yeah? I'm talking a lot about Horizon. Yeah? You want to go into it?
Yeah.
Tell them about it.
So, this diagram is actually from an article that VMware published recently. There's a lot of good documentation. We've all put VMware as well as AWS in the last couple weeks, really, since we've really launched this. But you can use the same cloud pod architecture that you may be familiar with Horizon on-prem as well as within Amazon Workspaces. So from an architectural perspective, you could even use the same UAGs, the Unified Access Gateways, the connection servers that are even on-prem, as long as you have the low enough latency and bandwidth to support it, usually a direct connect, right? You can use that infrastructure even on-prem to start deploying desktops in Amazon Workspaces today. So easiest way to get going, right? But you can also have that pod for maybe resiliency within EC2. And so I was helped out a lot with the launch of Horizon on VMware Cloud on AWS a handful of years ago. We have a lot of documentations, reference architectures on how to get the UAG and connection servers in EC2 and up and running in that environment as well. For that, you can still, again, just start making use of Amazon Workspaces Core, Cloud Pod architecture, enable your users and the entitlements for them, and you're off and running. It couldn't be any more simple than that. So, deploy anywhere you want, great user experience like we've been talking about, and being able to leverage the higher level of managed services that Workspaces provides.
So the goal is, that user go home on Friday, and I'm guessing they don't know where their VM is anyway today, right? They come in Monday, and that VM, in some cases, is better performance because it might be in a region closer to where they moved. If they're anything like me, when you said work from home and we scattered across the country and in some cases across the globe, what you're going to see is they even have better performance. Still don't know where their desktop is actually, which cloud it's residing in, and they didn't get disrupted. That's the goal right there. No disruption. They still click on that same Horizon 8 icon, and off they go. That would be that's it right there that they tell us is the biggest thing that they're looking for. So Workspaces, I mentioned it was a family of services. We have Workspaces, we have Workspaces Core. We also have, if you just browse, Workspaces Web for those customers who just want to do browsing only. But it's all the same managed infrastructure. It's all secure, reliable, it's all scalable, pay as you go, user and management information interface. It's the console in Horizon 8 in this instance, right?
Yep, and I'll show that in the demo as well.
And then what Andrew said about configurability, we've gone out and curated a bunch of instances for you that we call them custom built, but they're actually, no one liked the term, they're stripped down. They don't have our protocol in them, right? They do still have some of our monitoring capabilities in there.
We still have a little bit in there. During the import process, it'll show through the demo of what we do during the import process. So we do still have some tools in there to make sure that it's up and running and then it's in a healthy state to a certain extent.
So you're going to call up and you're going to say, hi, I can't connect. We're going to see the instance is healthy.
Yep.
We're going to be able to do a better job, get those mean time to resolutions down because we're going to be able to figure this out because we've taken the best. When we say curate, we've actually taken the best parts that we need to be a fully managed infrastructure and then added in the pieces from the third party, such as Horizon 8.
Yep.
Wow, sound good, yeah? I know what you're asking next, though, huh? Yeah, how much? How much is this going to cost? We were doing the math yesterday. About the same. Depends on the instance. Based on you now, of course, have a vendor in there that you're paying for clients. But because we are not offering the full WorkSpaces instance, we're able to reduce the price by 20%. And when we reduce it twice by 20%, and you add in the cost for the clients, depends on the instance. Some, it's a little bit more expensive. I'm looking over to get a head nod from my VMware buddies. And others, it's cheaper on some of the other instances. So it depends on which instance you're choosing. It's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, every customer is going to be unique with this, right? So let's get into some of those details when that's necessary, when that's important too, right? And find out the exact benefit cost for you guys.
So that's the number you want to give to your, CIO. Hey, guess what? It's cheaper this month. He's going to want to hear that. But there's also all those cost savings you get from a fully managed solution.
Yep.
That you got to factor that in compared to doing it yourself. When we say increased IT productivity, you're going to be able to go do your job rather than wondering why some of this stuff isn't connecting. I think that would make everyone more productive. Yeah. Sometimes I just raise my hand to see if it's 10 a.m. I just see if you're still here. All right, great. All right, enough talking about it. Let's see it.
Cool, yeah. Let me be the man behind the green curtain here and switch over to my little laptop over here. Let's see if that comes online. There we go, a little bit.
We're off.
All right, we got a little bit of a screen there, so hopefully we can be able to see. But with all that dramatic-ness there, all right, picture it, Sicily. I mean, working from home, right? So all I'm going to do is come into here and go on my home laptop. Maybe I logged off on Monday. I'm logging back into my machine, and I'm up and running. And that's it.
Thank you.
Back to you, Blaine.
Yeah.
Or Kevin. So now I got my desktop, and I'm good to go. And
all right, that's the user experience.
Yep.
All right.
My hands, I'm done.
These are not users in the office, in the session right here. What have you got for them?
All right.
Pull back that curtain, sir.
Yeah, let me pull back the curtain a little bit here, and then let's go walk through this walkthrough here. So I have condensed this a little bit, but to give you an idea of what the demo environment looks like, we have a UAG and a connection server in a customer-managed VPC that's connecting to the Amazon WorkSpaces Core desktop with, in this case, the Horizon agent installed on it. We do have Active Directory. You can use an AD connector. You can use our AD managed service if you want to extend your domain or just to make a trust. And we also have Amazon RDS for the database that may be necessary there. To build this out, it's actually pretty simple. I like using quick starts with AWS. So scenario 3 here builds out everything foundational. So if you're just trying to get up and running on AWS super quick, this automates everything. So super easy, including the directory service, super easy to get going there. The next thing you want to do is import your image. So Windows 10, 2016, 2019 are OSs that we support with Core today. You import that, or you export that from your on-prem VDI. You upload that to S3, and then use this command to import that to EC2. You can also run monitors. This takes about half an hour or so to get imported. From there, you get an AMI ID, as you can see here. And then you take that AMI ID, and then what is new here with Core is the ingestion process. So the command line here, publicly available API to import the image with Amazon WorkSpaces Core, but specifically here, BYOL, BYOP, so bring your own protocol. That changes that ingestion model, so like what Kevin and I were talking about, of not including our protocols. So when that process happens, we go over to the WorkSpaces console, and in the images here, you can see that that is in a pending state. So again, give it half an hour, hour or so, and we'll import that. We do a sysprep on that. We make that ready for you to start deploying these things out. There's a couple things with that image that I won't go into details here, just given time. There is the VMware deployment service that needs to be installed on that for the Horizon agent. Elvis on our VMware team actually did an amazing job with this blog article. It goes into great detail on exactly what's needed. Here's a screenshot of that deployment service tool and the command lines that are needed to do that. Another piece that I forgot there too, you do need to have your Amazon Workspaces account enabled for BYOL as well as BYOP, and we have the requirements for that listed in this article as well. So again, check this blog out, it's great. No, it's way too small for you to see here, but if you look for extending VMware Horizon on Workspaces, you'll find that on your search engine of choice. So once that image is imported, you can see here that I have installed the deployment services in these images here. We then create a bundle off this image, give that whatever name you want to, give it a description, and then what a bundle is an image plus the compute and memory and storage. So we select that there. Now we have a bundle. And that actually happens pretty quick. So from here, we want to go ahead and launch a workspace off that bundle we just created. I select my domain that I've already associated with the environment. I already have a handful of users in my Active Directory. We look at that. I'm going to add my, my Aclomin 6. We already have the bundle associated with it here. In this environment right now, I don't have the automation for auto stop, so I'm going to use the always on, and then review the screen and launch that desktop. So that's as simple as it can be to get started. Again, give this a little bit of time to actually get launched. I'd say about 15, 20 minutes or so. Once that is available, so again, you can show that on that part of the status there, we can grab the computer name. So we've added this to Active Directory, we've sysprepped it, we've gotten this completely up and running for you to now add this to the Horizon console. So check out the computer name. I'm going to grab that. We're going to now move over to the Horizon console. The Horizon console, I've already logged in this case. You may be already very familiar with this. The first thing we want to do is to see if this machine registered. So the deployment services installed the agent, it configured everything. It's ready to go. It's registered in the connection server. So it shows as available. We then want to do create a pool for this desktop. We do have a one-to-one user assignment. So we do need to do a manual resource allocation for this desktop. And we want to do entitlements that is this one user to this one desktop. That's the model today. Feedback on that is welcome. We want to give this a unique ID of some sort. Throw that in there. Grab a description. Grab a display name. I'm actually going to forward advance this for 2 seconds because I think I took a little bit of time doing that. We then go through the rest of the configuration, select the protocol you want to do, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to grab that desktop that's already registered, again, that machine name there, and add that to this pool of desktops. Click Next on that, review, and submit. The next piece here is that we want to go through the user entitlements. So we click onto that desktop, we go to entitlements, and now I want to add that user, so the Aclomin 6 user that I have here in this demo environment. as soon as we associate that, the user's off and running. I mean, it's, again, as simple as that. You configure the Amazon Workspaces environment. You configure the horizon to accept that new desktop. I'm going to switch over here to my client, log in like I just did before, so I'm kind of back to the little Golden Girls reference, logging in, and maybe I didn't even know that my desktop was migrated from on-prem into Amazon Workspaces Core, logging in, and there I am. That's it.
You just call me Claire.
Well, you're from Atlanta, right? So more like a Southern Belle, maybe a Blanche, but.
I'm stalling while you bring it back to the other screen here. I'm old enough that I remember when my mom watched Golden Girls. Yeah, there you go. We good?
Is that back?
It's back. Thank you. All right, so one of the things, so you should challenge me on this. Kevin, what makes you think support is going to be so much better? Well, one of the things is because on Horizon, because I've got a one-to-one relationship with that user and that instance, you call me up and tell me you got a problem with it. I know which instance to look at. Here's what happens all the time that I hear about multi-session trying to work on top of, say, on-prem or in the cloud, do it yourself. User logs in, gets poor performance, creates a ticket, logs out, logs back in. They call a couple minutes later and said, hey, what's going on? Oh, terrible performance. Well, now you load balance to a different machine, and they have very difficult time tracking to what was wrong. So we're going to just give you some key takeaways here, but the one is user satisfaction. If you think about a user who A, didn't know they moved, B, got better performance, C, got better support, is that going to be a happier user? Had less downtime. Is that going to be a happy user? I'm guessing that it is, right? And then migrating?
It couldn't be easier. I mean, you simply switch over from one environment to Amazon Workspaces Core, and you're off and running.
We have a customer who has 140,000 seats. I won't say their name, but they're migrating the old-fashioned way. They were migrating the old-fashioned way, 7,000 seats. Wow, that's commendable for you. Yeah, we're so proud of us. We got 7,000. It's like, at that pace, it's going to take 20 years. That's 5% of 140,000. If you're going to do it, then you've decided to go in the cloud. Migration should not be what's holding you back. You ought to be able to go really quick. And if you're going to take 20 years to do it, you better have the same clients because you're going to have users on one and on the other, and you're not going to know ahead of time, right? So that is a lot less IT resources to handle that, yeah?
Yep.
And then it's just got to be better performance if it's located next to your data. That's the one thing that I think gets the users most excited is performance. Nothing is more for us. Now they adjust, right? We know this. The user logs in, takes too long to log in with you, they go get coffee. Back when they were in the office, now they're in the home, they're in the coffee, and what happens? They get distracted. Finally come back to his desktop, it's up. Yeah, but it's been up for 15 minutes. They've wasted time. You log in, you get there immediately, you get better performance, you don't have to wait on your apps. You're a much happier user. What else you want to say about that, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, you got the key takeaways there, right? So better performance, being able to have hybrid, the flexibility behind that, the higher level of managed services that we're providing, not having to retrain your users. Those are big things.
We have some time. Do you want to take some questions? Live without a net? Anybody? Normally, here's what happens, and you're more than welcome to do this. I ask for questions. No one wants to ask any questions. Then when I get out the door, there's a line. I'm super available to answer them out there as well. But what we want to do is go through, tell you how to get started.
Yep.
And this is, you should come to this. The EUC reception is tonight. If you're not busy, 6 to 9 at the Electric Cocktail Club. Grab yourself a invite here from a Splash. It doesn't send you a calendar entry. So just keep in mind, if you did register for it already, it didn't send me a calendar entry. So just remember it's there. I'll be there, introduce you to the GM of Workspaces and AppStream. We can meet the VMware guys, and we can just have a great time. There's other tracks too, Andrew.
Yeah,
When
we
is
have
yours?
a bunch. Yeah, so in the Expo Theater at 3 o'clock today, we get a little bit more detailed in some of the demo. Definitely any hands-on questions there. We also do have a booth in the Expo Center. I have booth duty throughout the week here. Feel free to come by, bug me, ask me any questions at that point as well. We have a ton of sessions, as you can see here, and some of these sessions have actually already happened. So they most likely will be recorded and searchable, and you can access those after the event virtually as well.
Yep, here's a few more. Like Andrew said, some of them already took place. Did anyone get an opportunity to see Munir yesterday do the feature EUC? Yeah, did you like that? The reason I'm asking is because I'm an employee, they didn't let me in, right? I don't want to take a spot away from a paying customer. So I'll have to watch that one on, I'll have to watch that as well.
Any other questions? Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of time. We'll be outside this room here. Again, I have the theater session at 3 o'clock, and we have a booth. Feel free to come chat with us. Actually, VMware does have a theater session 2 o'clock today, right? Yep, so 2 o'clock today, there's also another session at the VMware booth as well, so go check that out. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.